Welcome to the Business Shop Podcast, where our guests speak on meeting the challenges of entrepreneurship, as well as offer tips and advice on business, marketing, technology, and more. Whether you are a newbie or a seasoned professional, this episode is for you. I am your host, Audrey Wiggins. Let's chop it up. I'm excited today to do things a little bit differently. I am talking with Russ Hovendick. Now, Russ is actually in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I'm here in Cleveland, Ohio, and we're going to have a robust conversation about his company, the services that they offer, and his company is Directional Motivation. Now, Russ is also an author. He's just published 2 works. Russ has been an executive recruiter for 20 years and is the owner of Client Staffing Solutions, Incorporated, which is a national and international recruiting agency. Russ, it's a pleasure to have you on our program today.
Audrey, I just appreciate the opportunity to be on your program, and what you're doing is awfully unique as well, and so it's just a pleasure.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Now, Russ, could you please tell our listeners about your background and about the Directional Motivation organization?
Sure. Like you mentioned in the introduction, I've been an executive recruiter and owner of a recruiting agency for over 20 years. And through that, just been able to really touch the lives of people and organizations throughout the country. And we work also on global situations too, so outside the borders of the United States.
Okay.
But along with that, has been just a drive and a passion to make a difference for people. And that's really what I'm all about. And so, in a way of giving back, in many ways, I created a website called Directional Motivation. And Directional Motivation is pretty unique, and that's the way people describe it, because it's free, number one.
Yes.
And what it does is it provides all types of resources for individuals that want to better themselves, regardless of where they're at in their life. There's all types of interviewing videos and techniques, worksheets, there's webinars. I've done blog interviews with industry executives to let people listen to what they're looking for and to help them in their career progression, their grooming, their interview process, that type of thing. And then a large focus, Audrey, is based on the returning veterans, the transitioning veterans coming back into society. And there's a huge need there. And so what we've done is dedicated a large portion of our site for that transitioning veteran and their families to provide resources for them in all manners. And so we have a number of things that help them in the interview process, coping with that transitional process, a lot of different things. There's so many emotions involved with that. And,
yes.
We're just glad to provide those resources.
Tell us, Russ, about the books that you've written and why you believe they are different from the other works that have been published. What's the difference there?
Sure. Well, I have 2 books right now. One is called How to Get a Raise, the correct way to ask for an increase in salary and wages. And then I have another book at the publishers right now. We just finished the final editing of it, and so it's going to go to publication here very shortly.
Great.
And that one is how to interview, what employers want to hear in today's competitive job market. And I have sent this out as an introductory to a number of Fortune 500 human resource managers, operations managers, and the feedback that I've gotten on both books has been outstanding.
Wow.
And I think one of the reasons on how to get a raise, it takes a perspective from both sides. And what it does is it takes the emotion out of the raise process. Everybody's got fear and trepidation going into that room to ask for a raise.
Yes.
What this does is challenges individuals in the preparation process to really know why it is that you need a raise. Sometimes people say, well, I just bought a new car, and now my car payments are $400, $600, $800 a month. I need a raise now. Well, that's not really the employer's problem. And
correct.
So what this does is goes back and it allows people to really assess who they are, what they bring to the table, and why a raise, could be in order. And I don't guarantee that a person's going to get a raise. But what it does is it prepares a process of communication that's really unique and allows an individual to sit down and assess their skill set, but also to have that open dialogue with a company and let them formulate a plan. If the raise is not in place, they can formulate a plan to help them get there. And so both sides of the equation really like this book. The second book, how to interview what employers want in today's competitive marketplace, or want to hear in today's competitive marketplace, is that it really hones the interview skills. And what it does is it puts together, by really a systematic approach, how you make yourself stand out from others in the interview process. And the reviews on this book, I have to say, are even better than the book, the How to Get a Raise book. And so people have been very, very responsive to it. And in fact, I've had educators that have read this, and they have said they were going to try and include that in their curriculum for their high school courses and college.
Awesome.
Because they believe it's so important.
Well, Russ, you mentioned your 2 books that you've written. That sounds very, I always use the word exciting, but very in-depth and a different approach. And, because we talk about asking for a raise or sitting down for an interview. There's a lot of anxiety, that comes up in the person that's, being interviewed, or the person, if we're looking for a raise. And looking at your website, I know that there's a major focus there on helping transitioning the veteran community. Tell us about your efforts there and how you actually got involved there.
I was working with a Fortune 500 client, and they asked me in the recruiting that I do, and I do a ton of work for them. And they said, if you run across veterans, let us know about veterans, because we love hiring veterans. I said, really? They said, yeah. I said, I have not communicated or connected with veterans. I've had those conversations, and we were not talking the same language. They're using acronyms, they're using facts, figures, all those kinds of things. And I said, I don't get them. And they said, well, we really like them. They've worked out great in our organization. And I said, well, if you want them, I'll go find them. And so I went out and I started engaging with veterans. And what I found is that we were not connecting. And so I started to delve into why. And I started asking really probing questions. They were talking about, for instance, leading 200 people. I said, well, that's great. How did you do it? They said, well, I let them,
Right.
And so what I found is they were not communicating who they were inside and how they managed people and how they brought it to the surface. And when I started to probe the question, I said, okay, so tell me how you captured a common vision. How did you get these people? How did you turn for instance, a soldier that was struggling? How did you turn them into a great soldier? How did you turn the light bulb on? Those kinds of things.
Yes.
And these guys came alive. And when I say guys, I'm talking about male and female.
Okay.
Because they started getting excited about talking about people and the victories that they had in people's lives that they managed and all the things that private sector employers are looking for. And private sector employers are looking for the really good soft people skills in today's environment. Well, surprise, veterans have it, but they're not communicating on the same level. And so they were going into interviews and they were talking about facts, figures, acronyms, throwing out all these things. And, it's kind of one of those things where, the deer in the headlight type of thing, and the eyes are getting glazed over, and they're talking to one another, and nobody's connecting. And so I started working with the veteran community and started to teach them how to interview and how to take and really demonstrate who they are, but what employers can actually expect in the workplace from them. And all of a sudden, I started placing a lot of veterans, and I started helping a lot of veterans. And after they started talking to me, they're getting jobs, and they're getting second interviews, third interviews, that type of thing. And so it's really, really cool. And, the veterans are going through so many things in that transitional process.
Absolutely.
So just to be able to reach in touch and help them in just a little bit of way was a major victory. And there's
Yes.
And these guys really deserve our help.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. Well, Russ, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and we're going to continue our discussion about our veteran community. We'll be right back with Russ Hovendick. We're back now with Russ Hovendick of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. His company is Directional Motivation, and we're having a conversation today about his work with helping the veteran community transition into to mainland employment and in their life. And Russ, the next question that I do have for you is that this is in regard to the families. Okay, so you have the transitioning veterans or their family members watching this broadcast. What would you direct them to do, and the different difficulties of running into the workforce? And actually, you did kind of answer that question already, as far as the lingo, the language, conversationing, back and forth. So give us some more insight there if you have it, and then about the families.
Sure. I want people to maybe realize that, and family members too, if they're listening, is that veteran that left the house and walked out the door on deployment is not the same person as the individual left. When they come back, they're different. Their experiences have been different. They've seen things that are almost, from the common perspective, things that would just absolutely blow your mind. And
yes.
They've got to deal with that. And so there's a lot of emotional things going on inside of a veteran at the same time. And so a couple things is, I tell people, don't expect that individual to just integrate back into society like nothing ever happened, because there was a lot that happened for them. And they're dealing with all types of emotions. They're dealing with guilt. They're dealing with just the struggle of what took place. And they're dealing with the reoccurrence of thoughts and things like that. A lot of tough stuff. And then what they're trying to do is transition back into a family life. And so this individual's been gone for 6 months, a year, that type of thing on deployment. And that household has functioned without them.
Right.
And this individual comes back, he walks in the door, or she walks in the door and says, okay, I'm here, I'm ready to run the show. And they go, who are you? And wait a second, we've been functioning pretty well here. And so there's a huge transitional process there. In terms of financial, there's a huge transition there to understand, okay, how does the they've been on stipends, that type of thing. How does that transfer into the civilian world? Talking about rent and all the insurances and things like that.
Yes,
so
yes.
Preparation, facing that is really, really difficult, and trying to figure out how they're going to budget now. And and then there's the fear of, does anybody want me, and where do I fit? That type of thing. And so on our site, we've addressed a lot of those issues. Of course, I'm a very, very strong Christian and believer.
Yes.
So we have veterans that are chaplains on there as well onto our site that they can reach out to. Because what a lot of people don't realize, that chaplains have a tremendous amount of resources at their fingertips, in addition to spiritual.
Okay.
They have connections with agencies all over that can provide the help and that type of thing. And what's unfortunate is a lot of our veterans have been trained to be very, very self-sufficient. I can do this. I can do this on my own. Everything is on my shoulders. I'll carry the weight, that type of thing. And for a lot of our veterans, they wear that badge, like a badge of honor, that they can be self-sufficient. They can get through this. The problem is mentally, physically, emotionally, they're not geared for the battle on the home front.
Yes, yes.
They need some help.
Yes, yes.
And so family members, when I'm talking with family members, I say you need to give them some space. You need to have them begin to reach out and to form networks and communities and that type of thing, socialization efforts to bring them out, because a lot of times these individuals will go into a cocoon and they start to withdraw from society, especially if they're in the job market and they're facing perils, I guess, that way, because they're not getting the interviews that they want, they're not getting the jobs they want, and that type of thing.
Right.
Of course, there's some other issues here, and I can address
And within that, and you may very well address that within this in this next question, because with the number of resources that are available and and services to our veteran community, it seems that the people are responding favorably to directional motivation. And the website is directionalmotivation.com, is it? Your website? Okay, directionalmotivation.com. And why is it that you feel they're responding favorably, to your site as opposed, to some other, excuse me, resources, and how does that tie into the, the services or sources that you were just speaking about?
It's really interesting, Audrey, the responses that we get from veterans and their families, the emails, calls, that type of thing that have made use of this. And I think one of the things that really sets us apart is when they go to the site, they sense the heart and the passion behind what we do, the real true desire to help veterans without anything asked in return.
Okay.
That type of thing. And so we're having a number of different individuals reach out to us, and what we're starting to do is connect. We have a number of people now with businesses that have asked, can we put your site on link in with you and put a link to directional motivation on our business site or on our personal site?
Wow.
That type of thing. We have a number of people that are saying, hey, you know what, we're going to put you on Facebook. We're going to like you on Facebook. The social media side is such a huge issue, and if people could help us from that standpoint,
yes,
we'd be most appreciative. The other thing is, to carry it a little bit further, is we are a for-profit site, even though we don't make any money. I say that because I don't want to go through all the 501c and all that.
Right.
But if we do have a button on our site, if people want to put $5, $10 or whatever they want to, if they want to help us with what we're trying to do, that'd be wonderful. Everything that we do is paid out of our pocket right now, and I've got a programmer that does all the website. I've got a graphic designer that I'm paying as well, and so if we can offset some of the costs, wonderful. But the site's going to go on regardless.
Right.
Any help would be appreciative.
Yeah, and I must say I've been on your site, and there's a ton or plethora of information and resources, so and people can get there and browse and stay a while. They definitely should find what they're what they're looking for and what they need to get on with their life. If it's the veteran, him or herself, or a family member, or even a friend that may be reaching out to trying to help their veterans. So the very beloved tight community there. Absolutely.
One other thing I'd like to mention
sure.
is that the site is for everyone. And what I mean by that is we have a number of high school kids, college kids, that type of thing that are making use of this site. And we offer scholarships. And these scholarships are pretty unique because they're for any type of coursework that's going to be an improvement for the individual. I don't care if it's a self-improvement course, a Dale Carnegie course, a speaking Toastmaster. I don't care. If we can take and make a difference in somebody's life, we tell them, go ahead and apply. Tell us what you're trying to accomplish in your life, and let us help you. And so that's pretty cool. We gave away our first scholarship the other day, and to a young gal that was a nurse anesthetist. I finally said it. She's going to school for that. You got to be able to pronounce it. If you're going to be one, you got to be able to pronounce it.
Exactly.
But at any rate, and she was so excited. And you can go out to our blog. On the site, you can listen to that interview with her and kind of get a sense. And I don't know who was more excited, her or me, about the scholarship. So it's kind of cool.
Yes.
And the other thing that I've done too is that I've got a book that's the rough draft is done now. On military transitioning, and I'm excited about that to be able to provide that too. So that'll be forthcoming here. I've got a lot of very positive feedback from the military community on that.
Awesome.
As well.
Great. Yeah, well, that's fantastic. So I can't wait to go back out and get to the blog and hear about the young lady's story of receiving her scholarship. There's certain eligibility, qualifications that someone has to pass to get one of your directional motivation scholarships?
No. Just apply. Go ahead and fill out the paperwork. It's so limited as well.
Okay.
And, we just wanted to help you.
Yes.
And the other thing is, I would tell your audience, too, or, to the listeners here today, is that, if you're unemployed, it'd be a great site to go to.
Okay.
Because we have resources for unemployed individuals that,
Mm-hmm.
to help with the interviewing skills, also to help with your personal esteem. Because what happens when people are unemployed or lose their job is they lose confidence in themselves.
Right.
And so we've put resources on there to help through that effort as well.
Okay.
And so if they look through the resources section, they're going to find that.
Mm-hmm. Now, Russ, this has been a great conversation today, and we're getting close to the end, and it is great. The last segment, as we were closed out with the resources for veterans, you reminded us that your site is really for all of us, anyone making a transition or looking for employment or want to hone their skills. And the site and information, viewers, it's free. All the information is free. There is a way that you can support all this free information is just like Wikipedia and some of the others, where they gather. It takes work and and it takes bodies and resources to gather up this information. So it's not free to put it together, but yet they're offering it for free. But there's a donate button here. Don't hesitate to drop your grassroots donation in there because over time of hundreds and thousands and millions of people watch, then those add up, and we've seen that very successfully in some of the political campaigns. So definitely click that donate button on directional motivation, and let's get some motivation in our direction. Okay, now Russ, let's getting back to you. All right. Okay, now there's some things that maybe that we can do. Are there things that our viewers can do? I know we talked about, donating, but not with our families, but also in helping to reach the veterans again in our own communities in general.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, I think, one of the things is being encouragement to them.
Okay.
Again, understand where they're coming from a little bit. That, they are going to be different. Give them some space, but encourage them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're an employer, I would encourage you to engage with them and ask those questions about how they lead and what gets them excited, where there's passion, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That'll reveal the heart of that person across the desk from you. And I'm more than happy to help employers in honing their interview skills
Okay.
as well in that effort. And the other thing, social media is such a powerful force today, and we need you. So
Okay.
if you're on Facebook, we would love to have you like us. We'd love to have you share us out there.
What's your address for Facebook? What's your page name?
Just directional motivation.
Okay.
There are two directional motivations out there. There's one that produces handbags. That's not us. But I'm sure they make great products, and they probably appreciate the little plug here today. But at any rate, directional motivation. We're all over the internet. If you go out, there's all types of YouTube videos, everything like that.
Okay.
And the other thing, and I think is really, really important, is if you have a business, if you have your own personal site, if you have, whatever, put a link to us on there.
Okay.
And let more people know about it, that type of thing.
Okay.
Audrey, as we were talking prior to the broadcast here today, I'm meeting with a number of government individuals, and we may be able to take and do some things through some governmental resources, too, in terms of tying in and helping the veteran community as well as individuals out there in society that they're struggling in the employment sector.
That would be fantastic. Another thing that comes to mind too is universities and colleges. Some of them do have veterans or reentry programs, and perhaps you'll be able to to make a link there and maybe get some sponsorship on your website. That would be awesome.
Yeah, actually, we just had earlier this week. I think it was on Wednesday. We spoke to our first college about what we're doing, and they said, in fact, within 10 minutes of the conversation, they had a link up for us.
Wow. Okay.
Which is pretty cool, and they're a Big Ten school, so that they could see what we're doing.
Right, they caught the vision and see the value. Yes, absolutely.
Yep,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, Russ, you mentioned your upcoming book, Assisting Transitioning Veterans, and when again will the book be available? And my books, when I said book, my books behind me got happy and they just fell off the platform here behind me. I don't know whether to cut this out or just let it let it keep playing. Let it be a fluke. I mean, if it was live TV, it would just go on and everybody would laugh. So I might just let this blooper, I just may let it stay in there. So back to the question about the book. When will it be available? And how can we get a copy?
That is $1 million question, Audrey, because every time I sit down and I read through it to do that final draft, I go, I need to put more here. And I hear from authors that's a normal thing because you go through it and you want to make it better all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that's kind of cool about it, Audrey, is that as I talk to more people call me and say, hey, I want to share a thought about a veteran, a way to help a veteran. And so we're including that in our book. And so it's kind of a evolving process.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of cool. But we think that we'll have it on the market or for publication within the next, I would say, 45 days.
Okay.
And that book will be on Amazon and also be on the Directional Motivation site.
All right.
As is How to Get a Raise is on there. And how to interview what employers want to hear in today's competitive job market will be available here. I would say within the next 30 days we'll have it on Amazon as well.
All right. Well, I'll also add it then. I'll link to it to my Amazon store. I'll make sure that I put it in there as well. Thank you again, Russ, for bringing your site to my attention, and that I could have the opportunity to share with another group of folks, and for you. And we look forward to your books coming out, the other book, and the books you already have, and just plugging in and seeing what we can do, liking that page and get some sponsorship. Now, is there anything else that you want to speak? I know we really, really appreciate your efforts, and how can our viewers get in touch with you, and what is that website address again, and any closing comments?
Well, first of all, Audrey, I absolutely, again, am thrilled that you'd have me as a guest. It's a privilege and honor. I don't take it lightly. I really don't. I think it's just an opening that God has, and I think that's very, very cool.
Yes.
I'm into cool things that God does.
Yes, he does some cool stuff. Thank you.
Yeah. But, it's kind of interesting. I'll mention just a couple things here in parting. Our site is in 64 languages.
Oh,
and
wow.
We've already been contacted by 23 countries.
Okay.
And so we are getting the word out there.
Mm-hmm.
People can find us at directionalmotivation.com, and you can just use the site. And the other thing is that they should sign up for our newsletter. They can do that right on the site as well.
Okay.
So they can keep abreast of the different changes that are coming about. What you see today with the website will not be the same as tomorrow. It just keeps evolving as we increase services. And what we do is reach out and we're asking, how can we improve this? How can we make a difference for you? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things on the plate for upgrades as well. So.
Okay. That's exciting. So we look forward to that. So I want to thank you again, Russ, for tuning in with us today. I want to thank you, viewers and listeners, for stopping by and being a part of our. Thank you for listening to another episode of The Business Chop. It is my hope that you were able to glean usable information from today's episode and that you will download and share this podcast. Be sure to plug into our guests. Go through their website and social media channels to see how they can help you further through their products and services, as well as plug into our website altogether.biz, where we will help you expand your brand.